The Hanslope Show Podcast. Your village, your podcast. It's all about Hanslope.
Hello, this is Trev, and welcome to our 9th edition of the Hanslope Show Podcast. We have a very, very busy show for you. And of course, it goes without saying that if you can let as many people know about our very unique podcast, then we would really appreciate it. Once again, the goal of the show is about our village life. And this month, I think we really have ticked that box. You'll hear from Ali Andrews, our elected ward councillor, and her passion for the village and the ward, and what the current challenges are too. We also have a chat with our sponsor, Hague Property Professionals, and get to know them a little better too, because of course we want to make this podcast sustainable, and with the Hanslope Parish Council and with Hague, we try and do that. Now, the subject is really important for the future of our village. That is the proposed refurbishment of the Recreation Ground Pavilion. Now, this summer we are all invited to look at the designs and artwork of some of the ideas of what the new facility could look like, what it will be used for, and of course, you can have your say. Now, if you look at the Parish Council Facebook page, you can see the work so far and learn about the funding that needs to be achieved. But let's hear from someone who knows all about that.
Yeah, so my name's James Gregory, and I'm on the Hanslope working group for the regeneration of the pavilion and clubhouse.
So when did you get started, and how were you approached, or did you approach the Parish Council? What happened?
Since I've been living in the village for the last 12 years, I suppose I've always tried to, do my bit for the village, and I'm involved in Hanslope Hornets Football Club as the vice chair, and as Hanslope Football Club as the chairman as well. So I'm always trying to give back, and I know how important sport and recreation is for everybody, really. So I was also on the Parish Council for a few years, and I helped them install the outdoor gym as well, which is up there, and also like the regeneration of the mugger down on the pitch. So I thought this was just the natural progression to kind of put my hand up in the air and say I can help them with the next stage of the redevelopment. My background is in like sports development as well, and I'm currently sports facilities manager for another district council. So I thought again that naturally I can bring some of my experience and hopefully expertise to the table and see what we can do.
Brilliant. And it's a big project, isn't it? And we will change our village in quite some way. Yeah,
that's it. We've nicknamed it like the Heart of Hanslope a little bit as a way to try and hook people's interest and hook the interest and the heartstrings of like the fundraisers as well. So we're talking about regeneration of the current footprint that's up there and the current buildings, which involves the sports hall, or the scout hut, some know it as well as the changing rooms, and like repurposing where the kitchen is and the storage garages and everything, to really make it a bit more of this community hub for everybody, as opposed to maybe just a facility for the sports teams, which it's currently used for, So yeah, we really feel that this ambitious plan will be for everybody in the village, and it will hopefully be an asset for years and years to come.
So when you went to the designers, the architects that have come up with the drawings that we've all seen in the plans, what did we go to them with? What was our remit as a village?
Yeah, so the remit, and I suppose based on the community engagement that we have been doing, that the Parish Council have been doing. So they've held some online meetings, they've held some in-person engagement, as well as some surveys and obviously some like Facebook discussion groups. So we kind of collated all that information from the community and went to the architects with that spec, and really about, bringing it up to light, bringing it up to speed, bringing it up to date, modernising it, making it bigger, but making it somewhere and something for people to meet and gather and spend time together, and really kind of have that recreational time and space together as a village. Rural isolation and loneliness is a real thing, and it affects lots of people in rural communities of all ages. So we definitely said that we needed this meeting space to ensure that people can come out of their homes and reconnect with each other and the village. Talked about like modernising obviously the changing rooms and making that better for all sports teams as well, and male and female, as well as the juniors, but really trying to make it that inclusive space and give everyone a positive experience, because I'm sure we've all visited pavilions and rec grounds and other places all around the country where maybe a bit shoddy, maybe leaving a lot to be desired for volunteers, parents, spectators, and players themselves. And a lot of people leave grassroots sport because of negative experiences with facilities. So it's really important to make sure that we can, make a recreation facility that everyone can be proud of.
Obviously, that comes with challenges. What's been the challenge in terms of has been getting all these ideas that have come forward into one space and to make sure you can't please everybody, of course, but to make sure the majority of people are happy?
Yeah, that's what it is. So it's kind of checking and challenging and scrutinising the concept as we go. And we're only in at the early stage of this concept design as well. But to also make sure that we get in people's opinions all the way through. So we don't want to get to a point where we go, right, the concept design has been, agreed. And then everyone turns around and go, well, hang on, who's agreed this? Who's had their say? Who's had their opinions? And so the working group is open and there's options for people to come and hook into. And, we want to make more space for forums and for people to come and see the pictures, see the concept design as well, and challenge it as well. A good thing is we're talking about a little cafe space as well. So we've got to make sure that works for current users and, the football teams and that sort of thing. So yeah, the drawings that everyone has seen, the pictures everyone's seen, they're just artist's impression at this stage. They're no way the finished product yet.
What's the timeline? I
suppose the timeline is we're working throughout the rest of this year to go through concept design and then kind of final design as well. So after probably September, once everyone's back from the summer, if you like, there'll be another chance for people to come and see the modified drawings, and then that will kind of be worked through with a cost plan as well for the budget. So how we're doing it with the architect is that there is a core budget there, but the building and design has kind of been modular. So if and when the parish council manage to hook more Section 106 funds or external fundraising, a second phase can be added to the build as well to make sure it can keep on improving. So probably looking at planning permission by the end of the year, and then looking to get going probably summertime next year, and then the build will take us through to probably Christmas 28, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, it's one of those things that we want to kind of push along as much as we can and progress it, but without making the mistakes of not doing it properly and effectively.
Well, what's been the overriding popular choice of what people want to see in the pavilion?
Yeah, so it felt like people definitely wanted to have this meeting space, like cafe space and like meeting room, training room idea. And again, ultimately, it's for people to come and connect, even though they might not be into sport. They might not be playing into sport. So the current Scout Hut Sports Hall was also in need of some modernisation. So it was, again, to try and bring up the level of the sports hall that's available, so people can play bowls there. They can play pickleball, short tennis, all these little games that you can do inside the hall, which is currently not being used for. We also want to make sure it's available for groups to hire and not in competition with the village hall at all, because that has its own strengths and qualities. So it's to make sure dance or aerobics or yoga can all be played in it as well. But we wanted to make sure it can work for all the other volunteer groups as well in the village, so it gets used daily. So there's this talking about like an art room and that sort of idea that people can come and have their evening classes there and that sort of concept too. But then to talk about having a second floor as well. So this whole mezzanine idea where people can come and use that space informally at the same time too. The second phase as well, we're looking at having a viewing gallery, so where you can actually watch the cricket from up high and watch the football from up high. So it has that real nice feeling of a village to be proud of.
Yeah, it's funny when you get to that elevation, it makes a massive difference, doesn't it, to an area, because it almost feels like the whole place is bigger.
Yeah. That's it, definitely. So I think we've been some of the other feedback was to making this community space so people actually who work from home in the village as well can come along and work in a common space as well. So we've got to make sure that we meet the needs of the village now, but also in the future as we're ever growing. But also at the same time without kind of trying to compete with all the other amazing community assets that we already have in the village as well.
Yeah,
that's really key to the working group. You know, we're not trying to compete with anyone else that's already providing a service to the village.
So I guess the most important factor in all this is finance, as it is with every big project. So there is, of course, as you mentioned before, the S106 money, which is money that the developers have to give the village in return for them being allowed to develop here. But then, of course, there's other funding too. Tell us a little bit about the finances, how that works.
Yeah, so the Section 106 goes into the City Council, and then Hanslope Parish Council have to apply to get it back in a way, which is a bit different to how it used to be. But yeah, the good news is that the Parish Council have ring-fenced like a big chunk of the funding through the Section 106. There's also like I want to say like local government loan scheme as well, which lots of councils do, and I think the Parish Council have agreed to go down that route as well for like a long-term loan and payback as well. And then there's a few other irons in the fire with the MK Community Foundation and the National Lottery Regeneration Fund there as well. So we keep trying. We're doing there's a GoFundMe page as well where people can donate, and every little bit counts. And there's also we're doing a business buy a brick scheme. But then we've also been asked to do like a resident buy a brick scheme as well. So that's nice that people like that concept too. And then we'll be also doing a few more fundraising events throughout the year. But the next one is on the 21st of August. We're doing a question of sport quiz up at the club, where teams of 6 can come along and take part in the question of sport quiz and have a nice fish and chip supper with everyone as well. So yeah, you can go on the Facebook page and book tickets that way.
Sounds great. And what's your involvement? Have you enjoyed the process so far? Is it? Tell us what it's like in terms of with your experience in a sports development background. I guess you must be excited about this project.
Yeah, it's very exciting to be able to know that like the Parish Council are really happy to like try and build a legacy for the village, and to be part of that is great. It's always good to move things along. You get so many. I suppose like negative comments a lot of the time on Facebook groups across the whole place, where there's always that different narrative, but there is real positivity there. You've got really committed and dedicated parish council officers as well who are really trying to drive it along and to improve the assets in the village as well for everyone. Again, it's not a closed shop. A lot of these councillors are obviously, they're all voluntary, so they're putting in their time and space to run it. And I thought to keep myself out of trouble, I'm also doing it in a voluntary capacity here now as well. So yeah, it's been fun, and there's always so much to do on it. So it's hard trying to squeeze it in on people's evenings, but we are doing it. And as always, the parish council would always be happy to for more volunteers to step forward and help take an interest in their village and come and support it really, rather than observing from afar.
That's it, isn't it? And that is it. Is that a lot of people will have a say about this or something to say about this because of course it's at the heart of the village, like as you explained, and look, get involved now. Otherwise, there's no point getting involved at the end when then they're moaning about what happened there. If you've got to get involved straight away and be a part of the process. That's
it. I always say be the change you want to see, and I feel like that's really strong in terms of the village and everything. And I think sometimes people don't realise that they can get involved, and people are very happy to have people step forward and put their hand up and say, how can I help? How can I get involved? We're also looking at anyone who's got those additional expertise around fundraising or business or concept design. It's really those sort of things. Bring everything that people have got to help out really, and to help improve the village for everybody. Also, obviously when it's opened, it'll be the same from there. We'd love community groups and people to come and get involved and help build a program of sessions and projects to make sure that it's well used afterwards as well. I think that's really key.
There's a lot of the local kids that are having a say right now with their parents too at the rec as well. You can go and see the designs at the recreation ground during the summer.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so the MK Play Association sessions that the Parish Council have funded, at the same time, the pavilion will be open so people can go in, have a look at the designs, give some feedback. Obviously, contact Jill Merry, who is the parish council clerk, at any time with email or phone to give that feedback as well. Yeah, so definitely get up the rec and go and see what the image is looking like.
Brilliant, James. Thank you so much, and good luck with it. And let me know if there's anything we can do. Please keep us informed, and we'll go along the journey with you guys and tell the story as it happens.
Thanks so much, Trevor. See you soon.
And as James mentioned, we can go to the recreation ground this summer whilst the Milton Keynes Play Association days are happening. And I did just that to find out what the kids thought about the proposed refurbishment of the pavilion.
I'm Charlie.
Okay, Charlie, what do you think about the Hanslope Rec Pavilion rebuild and the plans you see?
I really like it, and the new cafeteria, and like the new dance spaces. There's going to be more trees, more flowers, more space for people to eat and dance. And
so what would you like to see that's maybe not on there?
A skate park, because like if you build a skate park, it could be just in one space, and like how people could skate. And like, because my brother skateboards, and when he goes around the village, he sometimes gets noise complaints. So I think it's a really good idea that it's just in one space.
Okay, what's your name?
Molly.
Hi, Molly. So what do you think?
I think it's really nice. And if they could add flowers, I'd really like it. And I like space for people to come together and have more time as a community.
What do you think you'd use it for?
I think I'd use it for meeting my friends and just hanging out.
And with the flowers make it look really nice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like Charlie said, was there anything else that you'd like to see?
I think the pictures look good, but it would be nice if there was a skate park. I like skating even.
And who's this? Jacob?
Yeah, I quite like the community fact of it. Like, I love how it's more public than it is now. I like the fact that it's got stairs leading to another floor. And same as Charlie and Molly, I would like a skate park, because skate parks everywhere else, but not here.
Hi, I'm Gillian.
Hi, Gillian. So what's your thoughts?
I like it. I like the space. It would be really useful to have a cafe area, more sports halls so that we can maybe have more classes here. It would be nice if we could have maybe an arty area as well, because I would quite like to see maybe a couple of art classes coming. That's the only thing that I would probably add. But if you've got the lovely mezzanine and you've got the viewing area, I don't see why we couldn't do a couple bits in that, and it would be nice to be able to look across and see the beautiful church.
A lot of the kids are asking for a skate park as well, aren't they?
They are asking for a skate park. I mean, if you could see the skate park from the new area, that would be ideal, because it could be across the way a bit. But yeah, that would be useful for the kids to have, just extra space to be kids.
The Hanslope Show Podcast.
A massive thanks to Charlie, Jacob and Molly. They were brilliant, weren't they? And Mum Gillian too. Thank you very much to them. And had a chat with some people down at the recreation ground to see what they thought about the plans and the proposed refurbishment of the pavilion. We'd love to hear what you think about it too. You can leave a message where you find us on the Facebook pages or the Hanslope Parish Council. Get in touch with us, and in future episodes we'll get your opinion, your word of what you think about it, and maybe what it needs and what it doesn't need. And we'll continue this conversation and follow that journey as we get to a new pavilion here in Hanslope. Now, up next is a very important person to our village.
So I'm Councillor Ali Andrews. I am the councillor for Hanslope Ward.
So how did you get into this role? What was it, a lifetime dream of yours to be a ward councillor?
No, it was when I came. I'd been living in America, and when I moved back, I came back to Hanslope. I'd lived here before, and as soon as I was here, we were actually in lockdown. But I joined the parish council because they had a vacancy, and through that, I got to know some of the ward councillors, and I thought I didn't want to be. In fact, I had it was a webinar by Ruth Davidson, who's a Scottish Conservative politician, who said at one point she decided in her life she didn't want to be the person who threw cushions at the TV. She wanted to do something about it. And I thought, well, that sounds like a pretty good motivation.
And where does that motivation come from then? Where does that come from in you? Now, I know your dad. Tell us a little bit about your dad. That's probably the best way to start, is it?
Yeah, my father was an extraordinary man, a great, very accomplished businessman. He was Frank by name, Frank by nature, and when they moved to the village, they originally built the original eventing centre, and then they sold it in the 90s, and then he became president of the club because he decided he wanted to do some good and put something back into the community. Mum and Dad had lived in a lot of houses, as have I, but this is the one that he called home, so he wanted to do some good, and I think he did a tremendous job.
So I was on the committee at the time when your dad was on the committee too, so I saw him in action, and he was relentless, passionate, and knew exactly what he wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what he was throughout his career, and in fact he had a fairly early on brush with politics when he was involved in British industry here, and had a meeting with a minister and told them they didn't know what they were doing, and that he did and she should listen, and that minister was the Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, who from that moment always referred to him as that man.
and that does not surprise me.
Yeah, he was a force to be reckoned with. And simple things like he used to organise the street parties for the Jubilee and the summer fetes and Christmas lights. So when I came here, I wanted to do that because he was still alive at the time, and it was good for him to be able to see me do that, and it made me really proud.
Yeah, I imagine so. And it was a pleasure to be part of that committee with your dad leading it. And this, by the way, for people that don't know, is the club down the high street, and the Workingmen's Club that's been there since 1880, whatever it is. So a massive part of our community, and it was on its knees. And without your dad and those people that worked tirelessly hard there, we wouldn't have the club we have now. And so it was down to him and, like I said, that committee at the time that put it back on the map. Yeah,
there was some incredible hard work by some brilliant people. Jim, who works on Dad's right hand all the time, and it was more about sorting out the kind of financial position. And then since he stepped down, I mean, the club has just gone from strength to strength. They've got brilliant people, hard-working, diligent, really fun people, and we're so lucky to have it in the village, and I always like to try and support whenever I can.
Yeah. Well, look, so that's where your passion and where your drive comes from in terms of the politics of what you do. So tell us, what does a ward councillor do?
So my job is to represent the interests of this ward at Milton Keynes City Council. So when they're talking about things like planning or education, children's services, adult services, to make sure that we've got a voice. I sometimes feel like the council thinks that Milton Keynes stops at kind of Wolverton. And really between this ward and the next door wards only, we're about 60% of the land mass. So we may not have the biggest population, but we should be a big consideration into future plans. And the other big part of the role that I do is kind of being a bridge between residents and the council. The council don't always get it right, or people need help to find out how best to approach them, and that's when they'll tend to get in touch with me to advocate, to get them the meetings they need to be able to make sure that they're heard in whatever their needs are.
What has surprised you most about your job as a ward councillor?
I think it's just so much more than I thought it was going to be. I didn't realise it was kind of like proper grown-up politics when you go into the chamber at full council and you're having debates. It's a lot more personally trying than I thought it would be, because especially when you're dealing with really sensitive subjects, somebody who needs help from children's services or adult services, the process can take a long time, and the officers are used to that, but those are the kind of things that keep me awake at night, because we need to get to a solution quickly. It's also more frustrating because you're not in charge, so you have to use the skills of negotiation and being nice and building relationships and all the things that I sometimes struggle with. So,
but I guess though, you come from you've not always been in politics, so it's a new world to you. So yeah, that frustration of the things, the time that things take.
Yeah, and I think I had a business career before I started doing this, and I'd worked here and I'd worked in America and I'd worked in various other countries, and I think a lot of that has been really useful. There's a lot of different industries that I've worked in as well, so it means that you're coming from a position of knowledge in a lot of subjects, and really digging down into the data, which I find really it can be quite lacking in a lot of the projects. There's a lot of things that they launch as strategies, and there's no budget, there's no overall responsibility, there's no timeline, and that's not a strategy, that's just a map with no destination.
What's the hardest part about being a ward councillor?
There's a lot of work. You need to know an awful lot. I mean, the council deliver just about everything. When you look out your front door, that's what the council does. So you need to know so much. You need to spend an awful lot of time reading and listening to people, so that you've got good answers for the residents. But I think, again, it's the kind of personal toll. You know, you can sometimes get idiots on social media and things like that who seem to forget that you're actually a real person, and that things hurt. But I love it because you get to make things better.
As you just touched on it now, obviously we're going through a very interesting time of social media in our history, and you are a politician, and of course we know what's happened recently with many politicians, obviously in the news recently too with Anne Widdecombe. So sadly, so you must see what that's like at the bare coalface.
Yeah, absolutely, and the council, Thames Valley does briefings for us about keeping ourselves safe. The council has personal safety devices we can have. It's really sad that it comes to that, but you know, there's a lot of people who think they're brave online, but they wouldn't say it to your face. And I would just always say to them, be kind. If you don't like what I'm saying, keep walking past. If you don't like what I've posted, scroll on past, because really, you know, I'm just trying to do a job, and I think we get so much more done when we're doing it nicely.
And here to that as well. And so as you are representing, like I said, a ward, and so therefore you have your own obviously opinions of how things should be. And so that, I guess, also when I ask about that, must be one of the hardest things to do too, in terms of trying to represent a ward, but you know there will of course be people that don't agree with what your opinion is.
Yeah, but I think that's why it's really important that I spend a lot of time in the community, you know, whether it's going down to the pub, whether going to the coffee mornings and letting people know that I'm there, because, you know, some people have different opinions and it's important to hear that. But on the big issues, so, for instance, the proposed development at MK North, you know, I put out a petition online. You go and speak to people, because I don't want to be taking a stance that actually residents don't agree with, because it's not about my opinion, it's about what people here want me to do. So I think the more that you talk to people and the more that you listen, hopefully the better you are at representing the majority. You're never going to make everybody happy, but, you know, it's literally democracy. It's about the many.
And obviously, I guess, very important to live within the ward too, because then you know what this village and what the ward needs and what it doesn't need.
Yeah, absolutely, because, you know, every morning when I walk the dog, sometimes people will shout across the rec, "Hi, Ali," or if they say "Morning, councillor," I know that there's an issue that they want me to tackle, but, you know, I use these roads, I use the same services that we all do, but the most brilliant thing is how active our particular community is. So the thing I always get asked about is the state of the roads. And when I think back in February, I took the council to task about this. They had so few reports. And it's a big geography, and I can't do it, and the council can't do it on their own. So because I did a lot of work around that, now we've got brilliant people who are making the reports, and then if it doesn't get done, they can bring me in to nag. So it's about the whole community getting involved.
So you mentioned, obviously, the development of MK North, which so far has been successful in terms of your argument and our argument that as a ward we don't agree with this. So tell us how that's gone and what's to come.
So where we're up to at the moment is that this is the New Towns Commission, and it's important to understand that I'm not saying let's not build houses, because Milton Keynes Council has its own plan, and that's for 60,000 houses. Well thought out, well researched, that's going to happen. But this is the government's New Town Commission, and they're looking at parts around the country, and they're looking at 3 areas in Milton Keynes, centre of Milton Keynes, the eastern expansion, and then one area in MK North. And the government says they want to build brownfield, so old commercial sites first, that kind of thing. This is all agricultural land, so it has the biggest effect on wildlife, ecology, flooding. Flooding's becoming an enormous issue around here, and if you pour concrete on 3,000 acres, it ain't getting better. So we had a debate in council, because I wanted them to withdraw this area. Some of the councillors didn't agree, and we've just had a meeting with our MP, Chris Curtis, on Saturday, we had about 100 people come along and ask questions about it. He at this stage isn't behind MK North either. There's been a consultation. We'll see what the results are at the end of this summer. If we're still on the list, then we're really rolling up our sleeves, because there'll be a big fight.
Okay, well, more on that to come. But success as well, though, for the Estonia Stratford, I think, but isn't it as well, with regards to
further pits.
Yes.
Yeah, so this was the proposal to build warehouses at Cosgrove. I thought it was crazy, just the access roads, having thousands of trucks go in there. One of the biggest warehouses was going to be the size of, I think it was 90 football pitches or something, and that would completely devastate an area of just grassland and a wildlife zone as well. So the guys from Stop 3000 Trucks did an amazing job. I tried to support building awareness, but really the credit lies with them. They're an incredible ward councillor for that part of West Northampton, Ian McCord, and a bunch of people, brilliant ecologist. And they slayed it at the planning committee. I went and spent the whole day there. It was really impressive, and I learned a lot about whatever battles to come, but it was brilliant to see that kicked off. It probably means that, 1-0 up. I'm sure there will be an appeal, so it will be more fighting and more supporting for them, but what a great kick-off.
Yeah. Now, of course, you are under a political party, your allegiance to the Conservatives, and you mentioned there that the government, of course, which is Labour right now, of course, as we well know, they have their own agenda too. So that's a fine balance in itself. But also as well, just thinking where we live, many people were worried and scared in terms of new developments over the years. Looking at it now, it is a case of, actually, you know what? It wasn't as bad as maybe we first all thought. Okay, look, obviously we missed those open fields, especially the one opposite the wreck, but then we all have to develop and progress as a community.
Yeah, again, I'm not anti-growth, and everybody has to remember those three estates have provided funds that built the outdoor gym, brought the roof of the community hall up to code so that it could be done, the playing fields, the cricket nets. There's huge actual tangible benefits, as well as some of the incredible friends that I've made who've moved into the new estates. They've joined the parish council, they volunteer for the Hornets. So it has brought a great thing, but it's also meant that we've increased the size of houses just in Hanslope by 40% since 2019, and even by the government's own standards, we're good. We've played our part, and at some point you've got to go, right, yes, there should be building elsewhere, but we've got lots of empty houses. We've got lots of houses already with planning permission that haven't even started yet before we go ripping up countryside. But no, it's been a positive thing for the village, I think.
Tell us how it works in terms of the hierarchy from the parish council to ward councillor at the council, because some people may not be aware of that.
Yeah, so the parish council here, and we're really lucky, the three in my patch, Castlethorpe, Havisham and Hanslope, are so active, they're so proactive, and they really punch above their weight in making sure that residents get what they should have and could have. So the parish councils will manage the recreation grounds. If it's been devolved to them, they'll do the grass cutting, the verges, all that kind of thing, and they will be the first instance where they either support or object to planning that wants to go on. So the parish councils are completely non-political. As ward councillor, I support each of my parish councils. So again, if they have problems, like a resident has a problem with the council, I can advocate for them. And then, so then it comes up to Milton Keynes City Council. So we look at things like we're responsible for education in schools. We've got an ageing population, so dementia services, adult services, vulnerable adults, children's services, the bins, the roads, most of the things that you deal with every day. And then you get to national government, so that's more about taxation, foreign policy, wars, all that kind of thing. But I've got a good relationship with our MP, because some things are above my pay grade and some things require more of a local touch, so we're kind of in touch quite a bit. Are
you enjoying what you do? Because it seems like you really do. Also, I must just ask, by the way, how more experience with you about potholes now than ever before, because you've done a terrific job on putting that on the map.
Yes, I never knew. I used to scroll through my phone and all the photos were full of exotic and windswept things, and now it's broken bits of curb and potholes. And then with some of the ones that I've had to appeal when the councillor said they're not bad enough, now I've got pictures of my dog sat in potholes to emphasise how deep they are. I never knew I would get so overly excited about tarmac. It's really quite a sad place in my life to be.
But are you enjoying the role, though?
Yeah, I love it. And I think it's brilliant, again, where we live here, there are so many people, whether people volunteer to be governors of at the school or the preschool team, the village hall trustees. There's lots of people volunteering, trying to make this bit of the world as just fabulous as they can. There's some things that I find frustrating, but on the whole, I absolutely love it, and I'd recommend it to anybody.
And what ambitions do you have for your ward? What else would you like to see?
I think we need to keep on at the council that we get the investment into the roads around here. They're far from perfect. We need to make sure the Milton Keynes councils and the officers understand that it is different here. A rural bit of Milton Keynes works very differently than the centre of Milton Keynes, and that's why I've had quite a lot of meetings where I've asked the officers to come out here so that they can see it themselves. And I think, we just need to try and make sure that we get the investment all across and that we don't kind of get forgotten. So it's a big part of my role, but I think we can just keep building on the cracking foundations that are already here.
You're our bridge between us living here and the council. And we know that not just here but across the country, of course, councils are under pressure, severe pressure financially. So are we in a good place in terms of is our council doing a good job? That's what I want to hear, because you're not, of course, of that we know the council changed recently. Yeah. But are they doing a good job? Or
I think the council does a lot of things really well, and I know I always hear people go, "Why do I pay my council tax? And what does the council do?" And I work with a lot of the officers, and I can promise you, I've never gone into Civic and met somebody who I thought woke up that morning and thought, "How do I make life more difficult?" There's a lot of really hard-working officers in there. And yes, there's different political flavours, as in the councillors, and there are some strengths and some weaknesses. The thing is, we all want a really brilliant Milton Keynes. Everybody wants that. We just have slightly different approaches. And I think if you take it from that kind of basis and a bit more collegiate about things, you get more things done. So again, I work really well across the board, and there are some great things. We have a pretty well run council. I just think in particular areas they could be doing better.
And for your own personal ambition, now that you've entered this world, what is that? Is this open up a new world that you didn't really think about before, or was this always what you wanted to do?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't something I'd kind of really planned to do. I was just kind of inspired, as I said, by Ruth Davidson and also Liam Fox, who came over to Seattle where I lived there, and I just thought he was absolutely brilliant. And I thought, if I ever come home, I'm going to get involved, which I now have done. But that's me. I won the election in this year, so everybody's got me for at least another 4 years.
Is there room for ambition in terms of stepping up to another level?
It's something I think most people think about, but the personal toil is huge. I mean, if I find it difficult enough at this level, and again, we had the big public meeting and there was a couple of security people there to check out the place and be on hand. The personal toll on your private life and all that kind of thing, it's a big ask for anybody, and particularly when you're a woman, because we do seem to get more than our fair share, and more than most of the men do, the threats of violence and physical acts and all the rest of it. So would I say never? No, but it'd have to be really something that I desperately wanted to do, because it wouldn't be pleasant.
Yeah. And it seems like that I know that you love living here as well.
Yeah, I just think it's the most magical place. I think this is the 21st house that I've lived in my life. Hopefully it's my forever house. We just have such a kind community here. I always, funny talking about Dad, I was saying this to somebody else. Hanso's the kind of place when, in the last years of my dad's life, we were at the club, and he was getting a bit unsteady on his feet and he fell backwards down the stairs as you go out to the garden. And people, some who we knew, some who we'd never seen, ran towards him. And that's why I think Hanslope is a run towards place, not a sit in your backside and do nothing kind of place. So it's an exceptional place to live.
The Hanslope Show Podcast.
A huge thanks to Ali Andrews for having a chat with us on the Hanslope Show Podcast. Now, we've said on many occasions this podcast needs to be sustainable. That's, of course, how we keep it going, and thanks to Hanslope Parish Council and also Hague Property Professionals for helping us do that every month. And the reason why we approached Hague over in Stony Stratford as an estate agent was they're an independent company, and so we wanted to be involved with independents around the area. Now, let's find out about the team that Adam has in Stony.
So I'm Daryl Smith, and I'm the sales director.
And Daryl, how long have you been working for this crazy man here?
3 years now. Came over in 2023.
And tell us about your estate agents in terms of your past. Have you always worked in the industry?
So not always worked in the industry. I was about 22 when I got into the industry, and it was purely because I didn't have another job. I was looking for something, and my dad said, just go for it, because when you're in a job, it's easier to get a job. So I just thought it was a stepping stone so I can find what I wanted. And then that was in 2008, and the rest is history.
What fascinates you about it?
So, do you know what? It was doing something, because I thought estate agency was all about the stigma that comes, you know, everyone thinks that an estate agent is a horrible shark that's just trying to fleece people's money. But I found that when I listened to people, found out what they actually wanted, and when I call them and go, listen, I know you wanted this, well, I've got 80% of that, do you want to come and have a look at this with me? People responded so well, and people would call me directly and say, can you come and help me sell, and can you do this? Even though I'd not at that level in my career yet. So it started like that, and I felt good helping people. But the fact that the job is so varied, every day is different. I've still not had one day that drags. So I could be answering phone calls 1 second, flitting off to a viewing another second, and then we could be valuing land, houses, or whatever it might be. So it's a completely varied role that's I love, and I've, like I say, not looked back.
And the reason why I approached Adam to be involved with the podcast for Hanslope is that you guys are independent, yes. And that was important to me. Tell me what makes you stand out, and also what does independence mean to you as an estate agent?
Well, that's a really good question, because actually it's what's kept me working for companies like this. I started in a corporate world. I thank them for my training that I had from the early days, but I was absolutely treated like a number, same as every vendor, every person involved with a corporate agent. It's all about numbers. If you're not doing numbers, you're out. But the good agents don't stay. They'll go into independent. There was a company that I worked for before Adam, and that was the one that I had a long-term stint with, and that was my first experience of an independent. And the difference was, and it's the same here, you have the director of the business, the person who built the business from the ground up, asking about a vendor by name, caring about where they're going to move to, caring about how we look, and it's a service-driven industry that people forget. The corporate agents that are all about numbers, they just care about getting that foot through the door, or getting it on the market. It doesn't care what price. We actually sit down and take the time to look at it, and what would be the best marketing strategy for someone, how we can then best service them. So if they're talking about a service that we don't provide, or we will try and put them in contact with someone who does provide that service. And we've got very good contacts. I mean, all of us have got nearly 20 years of experience each. So it's a case of just, we've got contractors that we know that we can put people in touch with, lettings companies, so we will always try and make sure that someone has a one-stop shop. And that's where an independent can do that, because they're not tied to this is how we do it and we have no other wiggle room. Yeah, I'd say that's how we stand out.
And I guess you get to know your clients probably better as a result of that.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, we have to have full communication nowadays anyway. That's where I think we've flourished. We've always prided ourselves on communications right from the outset, from giving them the right sort of value, We create a WhatsApp group so they have access to everyone in the team. So if they can't reach me, for instance, on the phone, they can send a message in a WhatsApp group. Chloe, Stephen, Adam, anyone can respond to them. You know, they will always be looked after, and it's a 24/7 thing. You know, and that's needed in today's marketplace.
You know the area very well, and know Hanslope very well, you guys. So tell us what you love about this area.
I moved to Milton Keynes when I was very, very young. I went to school in this area. All of my friends are from this area. I used to cycle actually from the other side of Milton Keynes, so the other side of the city, all the way out to Hanslope, where a lot of our friends used to live. So, you know, it's one of them. It's beautiful. Firstly, it was one of the cornerstones of Milton Keynes over in this northwest. But it's also having a lot of new builds. So as an estate agent, you know, it's great because you've got the character of the Victorian or older homes, as well as developments that are creating housing estates as well as communities. So the schooling in this area is amazing. Just, you've got everything at your fingertips, but it's not in the hustle and bustle of the central Milton Keynes. So you can get to everywhere, but it's just prettier, and it feels more rural.
What do you love about your job? Because, like you said, it's sometimes much maligned by people that don't know anything about it. But what do you love about being an estate agent?
The one main thing, because any salesperson will say the buzz of the sale, when you get a sale, you feel great. But honestly, handing them keys over, I still get goosebumps when I hand keys over to people, and especially the ones where you have to jump through flaming hoops to get people into their properties. You know, conveyancing nowadays can be really tough. So the immense sense of reward I get when I've worked my bum off to get them through and hand them keys, and I've had people cry, you know, they try and give you gifts and things like that, but it's for that moment and that happiness that they have, you can't get that in any other job.
A massive thanks to Daryl and Adam and the team at Hague Property Professionals for their time once again and their sponsorship of the Hanslope Show podcast. We've had a busy show. Spread the word, please. And if you've got any ideas about future episodes of the Hanslope Show podcast, we would love to know about it. Get in touch on Facebook. But thank you very much for your support, as ever.
The Hanslope Show podcast. It's all about Hanslope.